I think it's time people panicked. You can't keep waiting. You can't put things off. You can't wait until there's a study done or research done or some sort of plan put in place. You have to get out there and act now.
Christie Walk is a living example. It's almost like a demonstration project of what you can do against rampant consumerism, against global warming, against climate change generally.
The city can save the world. The city is causing all sorts of damage, it's terrible, the world's falling apart. But that's the key, because the city is at the centre of the storm of destruction, then that's the place then we operate to turn it all around.
We've got this sort of weird T-shaped block of land. This was an old recycling depot. It had seriously degraded land.
What we need to try and do is make our cities in balance with nature. Because if you are going to destroy what is around you and the communities, you are ultimately destroying everything that is going to support you.
Now, one of the key ways to deal with that is to have resilient urban communities which can cope with changes in climate, changes of occupation, changes even of use. That kind of resilient urban environment, I think, is provided by somewhere like Christie Walk, where the houses don't use too much energy. And that meant not just having solar panels on the roof and so on, but it meant integrating vegetation with the buildings, having outdoor spaces that related to the inside spaces, so that there were community areas formed and a real sense of place.
For example, in midwinter my apartment got down to 16 degrees. In midsummer last year, when we were getting 40-degree temperatures, I got to 29 in the building.
We didn't want to make an ecological city. We knew we could only make a piece of it.
And when we started talking about eco-cities, people would say, that's an oxymoron. How can you put those two words together? What is it?
The first stage was down here in the southern part. Stage 2 is a couple of straw bale houses and a 3-storey apartment block complete with roof garden. And stage 3, the most recent, it's just 4 years old. I think these are about 8 years old, and the first stage is roughly 10 years old.
It's no good imagining we can go out into the landscape, sprinkling human settlements all over the place. We need to pull back in, shrink our cities, because we're going to get less usable land surface as the climate changes. We're going to get less land we can do things on, like grow food, and we're going to get more people who are going to need to be fed.
It's 2 or 3 suburban blocks. 2,000 square metres, it's a small area. We have 45 people living in a total of 27 different dwellings.
To live in Christie Walk is not just about sharing environmental concerns, but it's really about living in a way that's better for human beings generally, in that it's a small village and we know each other and we care about each other. You know your neighbours. I literally know everyone who lives here.
People have a sense of high density being impersonal, but if it's done right, it's actually a lot more personal. And I think life should be personal.
So we really try to use everyone's talents. No one is forced to participate, but in the end, most people contribute a great deal to make this place work the way it does. And I think it's worth it.
I find I don't have to do everything myself. And it makes an adventure out of ordinary things.
Between all of us, this is what we're putting out to the street. So the council are loving us.
I really like living here. I love the house aesthetically. I love the bits of it that perform well environmentally, particularly the nice sort of solid straw bale walls. I really love backing onto a veggie patch in the middle of the city. It's just like, you know, a little slice of the country.
The best thing about Christie Walk is that you get a chance to meet so many people that otherwise you wouldn't interact with.
If someone wants your skills or your expertise, they'll come and ask for it.
When I tell other people that I've got 12 neighbours who babysit, they're like green with envy. She's influenced by so many people and they're all different, and that she knows that it's all right.
It is, isn't it? Like, you're lucky.
The apartments in Christie Walk and the houses are relatively small by Australian standards, but you don't have to have big rooms in every house when the buildings are usually occupied by 1-2 people. But if you want to have a party, there's a community room. If you want to go and enjoy a drink in the summer, there's the roof garden.
I love that if you come home from work in the evening and it's a nice evening, you'll find someone to sit outside with and have a chat. And it's just magic in that regard. There's something here to, you know, warm your heart about common shared humanity, because, you know, when all's said and done, it's human relationships that are more valuable than anything.
The garden's landscaped so that it opens out and then it closes again and it opens out. So those bigger circles are designed to catch people. So often a lot of the community activity happens in an unplanned fashion, whereas, you know, there'll be a bench, there'll be a person who sits on the bench, there'll be a bottle of wine open, and before you know it, you've got, you know, 5, 6 people.
So there are spaces within the project which are an extension of the living space of your individual home.
There's one that's really cute down here.
So in a way, the whole place is designed as a habitat, quite intentionally.
It's beautiful because we've got fewer cars, we've got bigger space for gardens, so my daughter can roam and pick flowers, and it's just a very nice thing to have the loop of cooking, picking, composting, you know, that sort of cycle.
Maintaining the growth of plants is essential, and I think humans are going to need to be doing that actively to make it possible as the climate shifts. We can't leave it up to the plants because they can't uproot and walk with the climate change. We can go get plants that fit in our climate zone as it shifts and make those adjustments.
Biodiversity really benefits people. It's great knowing that there's a nest in that tree and that flower's going to bloom soon, and I think that's really important for a person to know seasonality, where food comes from.
The environmental angle is just essential, and living here is a statement in itself, putting your money where your mouth is. You buy into this sort of project, and you actually, just by living, you're doing something to tread lightly on the earth, and that is just so important.
If every new development was like that, then bit by bit, over time, you would be literally rebuilding the city. We rebuild the city anyway. It happens all the time. Cities are not static entities. They're constantly being worked over and remade. And the trick is to take it in the right direction, to make it sustainable, to make a green city.
You get to that gate and the sunshine is there. You look down into that site and you go, we bloody did it. You know, we did it. It happened. It has been done without government support. We just kept doing it until it got done. And that took a lot of people, and it took a lot of money and a lot of determination.
We were not concerned about what might go wrong. We were focused on what could be achieved. And I think that's the fundamental driver behind any innovation.
We have been approached over and over and over again, people wanting to do the same things. What is needed really is for developers to be able to take up the challenge we've put out there. Christie Walk can happen over and over and over again in cities anywhere in the world, and there have been thousands and thousands of people through this site. They can never say they don't know, and that goes for government as well.
It's a real community. It's not a constructed community. You don't have to fill out a form and say, please can I join? It's a real organic, natural community of people, and it works. And in real communities, people have disagreements, they have fights, they have arguments, and it's all contained within the strength of that community structure, which enables people to do that, and then at the end of the day, still be living comfortably and working together regardless. And I think that's the real strength of that's what it means. That's what sustainable community is all about.